Hello friends and beautiful people. Today we are answering the challenge from Ms Lippy for jambalaya. After looking at all the different recipes that we were seeing coming on the chat, we all decided we would post ourselves making jambalaya. The challenge is Ms Lippy wanted us to do this in 20 minutes and jambalaya takes a little longer than that, so I pre-cooked a couple things.
And I am quality control.
That's the hubster. So my recipe is, you can see how, well no you can't see how dirty it is. This is one that I got from, I thought, a Cajun friend, but Ms Lippy doesn't put tomatoes in hers, so now I'm completely befuddled. So I'm starting off in my iron skillet with a stick of butter. This butter makes everything better. And then we're adding, there's just the two of us. Usually I usually use 2 red onions and some green onions. And today we're doing just a bell pepper. I diced up some of my dehydrated Hungarian pepper for heat. And then we've got a whole onion. And I prefer to use red onions in jambalaya, but we are out of our red onions that we grew last year. So guess what we're using? Store-bought. Alright, so we are going to throw this all over the stove and saute just until the onions are clear and the green peppers are a little softer. I'm going to use, oh, can you see this? Hubs made me this, and it's double-sided. It's got a little flange on the end. This is awesome when you are sauteing vegetables, and especially in my cast iron. So while we have this sauteing, I've got 3 cups of cooked, we use brown rice, and then I've got my iron skillet, it's a skillet griddle, so I always call it a skittle. But we've got it going, and what we're going to do on it is we are going to grill our shrimp and our andouille. Sometimes I'll actually throw some diced ham in there if we've got some. We don't have any right now, and I'm not going to ask, it's pouring rain, I'm not going to ask Hubs to do this on the grill, so iron is the next best place to be. Let's see. I love my cast iron griddle because it actually, on this stove, it goes over 2 burners and you get a nice even heat. So what we're going to do is, this is our andouille, and we got this at a local meat market, but I will tell you, if you have never been, you've got to go to a place in Cincinnati, Ohio called Jungle Jim's. It is the Walt Disney World for people who love to cook like me. We never leave for less than a few $100s. So it's the size of the produce section is the size of a Kroger's, and they've got like 1,500 different cheeses, you know, all these different meats, the produce, the wine section. Everything is segregated by what country it's from, which is really cool. So all of your cheeses are all sorted by what country they're from. So if you're looking for a nice Italian cheese or, you know, a Swiss cheese, they're all going to be grouped together. They do the same thing with their meats. They do the same thing with their wines. They have a cigar room that's the size of our house. It's huge, and you just walk in. They do their beers that way. They do their produce section that way, and it is a fun trip if you are into spending a whole day at a grocery store. They even do their dry goods that way. I think they had like 500 different salsas. So it's fun just to go try things. They've got fresh fish, they've got frozen fish. I know one time Hubs and I went and we got some kind of fish from Korea that we had never heard of before. And you know, sometimes it's a success and sometimes it's a fail. That one was a fail for us. Alright, so we've got our griddle going, we've got our andouille on there, we're going to throw our shrimp on. Gotta keep an eye on the shrimp though. This is where I'm gonna fail miserably. I might call in for reinforcements. Not yet, not yet. I said I might. But you just stay over there. Especially if you don't want your dinner burnt. All right, so let's talk about my recipe. It's a stick of butter, 2 red onions, 5 green onions, a large green bell pepper, half a teaspoon of dried oregano, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, 1 pound of andouille or Italian sausage, and if I'm doing the ham, I usually use 3/4 cup, and then 2 canning jars of chicken broth, and I just noticed that I'm at an angle. Sweet. 1 canning jar of diced tomatoes, or what I did was we have a fire roasted tomato that we make, and if you can't see the texture really well, but it ends up being more like a crushed because it's just too hard to keep them whole. And then 3 cups of long grain rice, 4 garlic cloves, 2 bay leaves, a jalapeno chili. This is so much better when those are fresh. And a tablespoon of Creole seasoning, half a teaspoon of ground cayenne. And since I'm not using Ms Lippy's, because I've never tried it in my jambalaya before, I'm using another brand and I put it away. But Ms Lippy's is probably better. I'm just going to say this stuff is full of sodium and she does not put salt in hers. Alright, so we're still sauteing over here. We're not quite that translucent color on our onions. But we're getting there. And then our paprika peppers are rehydrating. So the key to rehydrating is always going to be heat. So if I'm rehydrating eggs, I'm going to use hot water to the mixture with the egg to make it rehydrate properly. If you use cold water, I just don't get as good of results. So since I'm using a lot of butter, I'm letting that butter and that heat from that butter and that iron skillet reconstitute those Hungarian paprika peppers. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add, since we're not adding the rice yet, and this is pretty close, I'm going to add, this is my garlic cloves. Got me good when she made this be only 20 minutes.
I will tell you that smelling this is absolute torture.
Well, you get to eat it in a minute, or not a minute, but you know, maybe eventually I'll let you have some if you're really sweet to me. And then the jalapenos. So if you've made it this far in the video, and you watched the video that I did out in the garden Saturday, we talked about us potentially moving. So you will have the only nugget about that situation. We have decided we're going to stay here. We're so close to getting this place finished. Nothing we've looked at has even come close. So there you go. We're staying here, and I think we've been praying about this for a long time, what the Lord has for us, and we feel like He wants us here. So I'm not sure, I have to ask Him, but I think after we made the decision and we felt like that was the way the Lord was leading us, we both kind of felt relieved. We've done so much work here, and we're both so thrilled with everything that we've done and all the work that we've gotten done that I think we're both relieved. Are you relieved?
Yes, I'm very relieved.
Yes, he's very relieved. It still doesn't take him off of his timeline, though. He's got a couple things to do. All right, so now we're going to add the Creole seasoning, the cayenne pepper, and the oregano. So we're getting a nice translucent color on our green peppers and our onions. Oh my word, this is heaven.
You want me to close your streams?
No, they're actually not cooking too fast. I will tell you though that the sausages, the shrimps are close to being needed to turn. You might have to go over there and jump in. We'll see. Oh yeah. Oh, Ms Lippy, you gotta try my recipe. I'm gonna try yours. All right, so we've added our onions, green onions, bell pepper, our garlic, our bay leaves, our jalapeno, Creole seasoning, cayenne pepper, all the spices, and we're gonna cover it and cook it until they're tender, which we're about there. And then we're going to mix in our tomatoes and our rice. Alright, there's our tomatoes in there. And then I pre-cooked the rice. But I didn't cook it like overdone. I just cooked it so that it was 90% there. Because I wanted to take up a little bit of this liquid. Woo! It's a party in there. Cubs will be proud of me that my rice isn't burnt or sticky this time. I'm not a big rice maker. And I don't usually measure, and it drives him insane. Yeah, I did a good job on the rice. Good. Pat myself on the back. All right, let's flip our shrimp. So what you want to do is we started off, your shrimp is always, when you start off with a raw shrimp, not a red shrimp, it's always going to lose the size. But you want to get it this nice charcoaly color, this orangey, before you flip. It's super easy to peel and devein shrimp. You just pull the tails off and you don't even have to use the special tool, but you can. And I say that, and he left out because this time he bought tail-on shrimp that was already deveined. And we actually have a local guy who has a he has a shrimp farm. Can't really call it hydroponic or aquaponic because he's not raising any plants with it. But he just has an indoor shrimp farm, and now he's opened a upscale restaurant with it also. And I want to go over there. I've heard his prices are really good, and I want to go over and maybe try some of his shrimp. Look at this, kids. Does that not look yumful? I ordered jambalaya at a restaurant once, and they brought me noodles. It was some noodly mixture. It had no Creole flavor to it at all, and I knew then I needed to get a recipe and figure out how to cook it because I just had my taste buds sit on it. And Ms Lippy's looking at mine right now going, what the heck is she doing with tomatoes in there? Alright friends, I have to limit the length of my video, so I'm going to cut you off now, but here's what's going to happen now. This is all mixed together, and it's just waiting for the andouille sausage and the shrimp. As soon as they're done cooking, I'm going to put the shrimp in there whole, and I'm going to cut that andouille sausage up on the bias, and I'll let it simmer in this pot with the rest of the stuff I have in there for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then I gotta feed my hungry man. So until next time, be blessed and be a blessing.